mix, fade in and out, or whatever that kind of stuff is. There's those DJ controllers, but this one is more like a digital console. So it's I think an 8-channel mixer is really what it looks like, with a 9th channel master. And instead of having like outputs, like, you know, sends and outputs for 1/4-inch jacks on the top to go to analog equipment, it's really just a controller that drives MIDI information through USB into Logic or into other digital audio workstations, and then allows you to control those knobs and features of your digital audio workstation through the controller. So it's really cool. So, you slide, you're going to mix something. So you want to slide the mix of channel 1 up to a higher volume, but you want to take channel 3 down a little bit. You can do that physically just on these sliders that are there. And then you can, punch in for record or arm for record or select or mute or whatever it is. And then there's a number of different kind of control features and knobs on the sides where you can get into some of the things. So I've been looking at these controllers, looking at an X-Touch Behringer, or what is it? It's made by Behringer, and it's an X-Touch Compact is one of the ones I was looking at. There's an X-Touch 1, and I think just the general X-Touch is like a full-sized like digital console space. It would take up most of a desk to have. It's like and there's a mini out there too, which I think you can throw in a laptop bag. Cool that those options exist out there. And yeah, it definitely seems like it'd be kind of interesting for music producers to try and use. But I was also looking at some of the things that you can do with it in Lightroom too. So these controllers, you can have MIDI signals run into the computer to trigger different keyboard commands or different clicks and stuff. So I guess what you can do, and there's been some softwares made for it over the last couple of years that do Lightroom control. So you can have a controller like this and turn a knob, and then that knob will respond to a fader, or one of those sliders that exists in the develop module of Lightroom. So you want to change the white balance of a photo. Well, you have a slider for your white balance, so you can, or a rocker or something. You can turn it up or down, or you have a slider that can go to a high exposure or low exposure, or change your brightness or hues, or adjust your blacks or your tone curves. You have access to that, of course, all on the screen, but you also have controls of that in physical spaces, buttons mapped to that controller through this software. I think a couple of the pieces of software that I've seen are MIDI to Lightroom, MIDI to LR, I think is what it's titled as, which I'm sure you could search. There's a paid software called P-Fixer that exists out there that has a free trial. You should try it out if you're interested. And then there's another software called LR Control, and I think that's also another piece of paid software that you can get a free trial for. There's a few videos online that kind of express how some of these mixing pieces go, but really I don't think there are that many videos that describe how mixing with an X-Touch or mixing with some kind of MIDI controller for photos in Lightroom really works. There's some stuff like there's a couple guys kind of going around and tweaking some photos, so you get the general idea of what it is, and I guess that's really enough. I mean, you know how to edit the photos, but yeah, it's kind of interesting to see how the controllers plug into it. I've heard it helps with productivity and workflow. I've also seen plenty of professional photography. It's not like every top photography studio is implementing a controller, and that's why they're getting better at editing.